So one more question I'm having in my mind, that who comes first, the human, or like us, or language? Obviously yes, right? And this is very easy. फिर इतना सोच रहे हो आप लोग आंसर देते समय? It's very obvious, right, na, that we came first in this whole planet after many years of our, you know, evolution. There would be definitely some languages, or no? कोई भाषा बनी होगी. So can you tell me how many years it took to the Homo sapiens to create a language? Roughly कितना टाइम लगा होगा बेटा एक भाषा बनाने में? Definitely we cannot be precise, but we can simply give a number. It could be 1000 years, it could be 2000, maybe 5000, or maybe 10,000. We cannot give an accurate number, but we can only presume that it takes thousands of years to evolve a particular language. What was that language then? Now it could be many other, like we have multiple language in evidence. For example, some student can say Tamil, some student can say Sanskrit. Even if you are in Europe, so there could be some different language. It means we somehow were able to make a particular language to speak. How we are writing? Latin, Devanagari. What was the script we were using to write the things? कौन? जब तक बच्चे आ रहे हैं तब तक मैं पूछ रहा हूँ, बस बताना शुरू करूंगा. Early humans. Hmm? Yes, you can simply mention is that they had no information how to write a particular language, or they do not have any particular script. So whatever they were observing here and there, they tried to depict it on the walls of the caves, or whatever they possibly had the things to write. That is pictography indirectly, we can simply say कि पिक्चरों को यूज करके उसे डिपिक्ट कर देते थे. Now the problem here occurs. Whatever the history we talk about generally, what is history? So everybody knows that history is a study of past. Study of past on the basis of evidences. And that evidence can be categorized in many ways. Some can be the archaeological evidences, some could be the written evidences, some could be your coins, statues, anything could be evidence which can link our present story with the past. That would be definitely evidence. But the problem behind this, if I simply say that this is the particular time phase when, let me make it, this is a particular time when human was evolved, and this is a period when human was able to or speak a language, and this is a particular time when human was able to write something. Now when a human can write or speak a good language, so your written evidence will be found from this particular place. Before this there would not be any kind of written evidence. बात समझ आ रही है क्या कह रहा हूं मैं? That in this place human evolved or developed a language to speak, write a script, but before that there was no language to write, there was no script to write. So history before the evolution of any language is history or not? बताएं. Nicholas? It is history. Nicholas? It is history. That could be a proto-historic. Like a student has used a new word, history and proto-history. Is it history or proto-history? If histories and proto-history are both similar, then why he is using a different word? What is proto-history?
The history which we don't have a direct evidence.
History we do not have any direct evidence. Okay, I think so. ये बीच के last के तीन शब्द बोल के ना, you change the whole environment. Huh? What is proto-history?
We have a translucent or next to opaque idea about what would have happened in that era.
Mm-hmm. And what is prehistory then? क्यों परेशान हो रहे हो? There are three words in history ना, उसको तो पहले समझ ही लो. First one is your pre, second one is your proto, and third one is your actually history. So this is particularly history we are talking about. So this history is particularly that period of history where we have a particular written evidences. We had a script to write, we have a language to speak. Even with this, we have some archaeological evidences, like it could be a coin, statue, fort, anything we are getting from this particular phase. And the possibility of changing of this history is very less. Can we rewrite history? बताएं, can we rewrite history? First participate in this, तभी समझ आएगा. सब्जेक्ट बहुत अच्छा है हमारा. क्या हम इतिहास दोबारा लिख सकते हैं? Nicholas, can we rewrite history? Depends on what?
The false claims like
How we interrupt a particular thing, right? Can we change the period of Rigved? बस normal पूछ रहा हूँ. Can we change the Mauryan Empire history? Their time to rule? क्या बदल सकते हैं ये? High possibility or less possibility? Tell me this only.
Less possible.
Very less possibility. Why?
Sir, because we have direct evidence of dates for that particular period, so we cannot strongly do that.
Exactly. Now you guys are coming on point. History is something which cannot be rewrite very easy. Especially this one I'm talking about. This proto and pre-history have the possibility maximum to rewrite. Like, let me give you example. When British try to tell us what was the history of India, so there was one archaeological survey head, that was Alexander Wheeler. बस पहले कहानी समझिए थोड़ा सा. According to Wheeler, that oldest civilization in India could be the Ganga civilization. Sorry, Cunningham. Alexander Cunningham. More time Wheeler, name was confused. So Cunningham was basically confused and he was telling that there could not be any oldest civilization before the Ganga in India. Whatever this started, it started from the Ganga. That was the Cunningham ideology. Later on, when 1921 happened, Harappan civilization was discovered. Now it's a time to rewrite the thought process, whatever the Cunningham predicted earlier. Now, oldest civilization become your Harappan civilization. In present context, there is a particular place, Keladi. There has been some research in South India, and it is telling this site is oldest than the Indus Valley Civilization. So in this whole story, you are getting three histories in a one page. First, the oldest civilization was Ganga civilization. Later, oldest civilization become Indus Valley Civilization. And right now, the oldest would be the Keladi South Indian civilization. When we have the true evidence of this particular Keladi site, then we can simply rewrite the history. But this is not your history exactly. This is your, because proto-history has the high possibility of getting rewrite. ये बात समझ आ रही है थोड़ी बहुत?
there has been an excavation in the middle of Bharatpur and Mathura. So there is a high possibility that they have found a gone of riverbed of river Saraswati, and they are thinking that this could be even that could even date back to the Indus Valley period, about 35 minutes.
Exactly. So this is the point which we are discussing here. So history are in three stages we are studying. First one is your prehistory, second one is proto, and third one is your history. Now, this history is less possible to rewrite. That's why we can simply say this is actually the study of past. This is a study of past on the basis of correct written evidences, on the basis of correct archaeological evidences, which carbon dating has been completed, and very less possibility to shuffle from one place to another. For example, if I say that Mahatma Buddha was born in 560 BCE, so this date cannot be changed very easy. But if there could be any evidence, it could be replaced by 540, maybe 600, but it will not go beyond 300. So itna change nahi ho sakta. There could be very small changes if it is possible. ये बात समझ आ गई आपके? So if somebody is asking what is history, so simply you can first categorize that which history we are talking about, pre, proto, or genuinely history we are talking about. In prehistory, human did not have any written language, so we could not directly find any written evidence. Human were using the stone tools, right? It was a time of Stone Age. So definitely there will be only archaeological evidences. There will be no written evidences. On the basis of archaeological evidences, we try to create the history. Similarly, proto-history. According to historian, this is a transition period from this to this. In this, human was evolving itself very frequently, and that's why they try to generate a language. But that language is mostly pictography. And this language, we were not able to decipher it. इसको हम पढ़ ही नहीं पाए आज तक. For example, Indus Valley Civilization. It is close to the Rigvedic civilization. High evidence we have archaeologically, we have site, cities, evidences, but the language we cannot depict it. Hence, we cannot simply say whatever we are saying, it's definitely the truth. So there could be possibility of getting changed. So this is particularly proto-history. It means we have written evidence, we have archaeological evidence, but written evidence is not able to decode in the present context. And the third and the last, which we generally talk, that is history. We have the proven written evidences, we have the proven archaeological evidences. On the basis of this, to getting the more political easy, we categorize this into three phases. First one is your ancient history. Second one is your medieval. And third one is your modern history. To getting more political, better understanding after the modern, we have contemporary history from 1947 to 2025. Getting the point? So it means history begins from prehistoric phase to the contemporary world. And this whole phase in India, if you're trying to say, so I can simply say it begins with the birth of the human civilization or human, or it is presently going in 21st century. कितना लंबा इतिहास हमको पढ़ना है. Getting the point, बेटा? Nicholas, what is prehistory? How many of you understand what is prehistory? पहले hand raise कर दो. It can be on the basis of written or archaeological evidence. We do not have any written evidence. Exactly. So this is actual definition of prehistory. Prehistory is a particular phase of history in which we have only archaeological evidence. We do not have any written evidence. Getting the point? What is archaeological evidence? कोई नहीं, मैं सबको पहले समझ तो लूं कितना बेस है आप लोग का, देन आई विल पिक इट अप. अमंग, डिड यू गेट द पॉइंट बेटा? थोड़ा थोड़ा. जोशुआ, जोशुआ क्या, जोशना आगे बेटा. थोड़ा 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 किनको, क्यों थोड़ा थोड़ा किनको आया? थोड़ा थोड़ा हैंड रेज कर दो, डोंट वरी, आई विल रिपीट अगेन. देखो पूछ रहा हूं फिर भी नहीं बता रहे. चलो एक बार और फिर ट्राई करते हैं. नहीं नहीं, आ गया होगा अब तक तो. चलो परेशान नहीं करते. पहले लिखो, शायद तो शायद समझ आ जाए थोड़ा बहुत. तो लिखना शुरू करते हैं बेटा. द इंट्रोडक्शन टू द हिस्ट्री. Introduction to the history. Even online students, do comment and tell me, did you get the points or not? First, history is the study of past. History is the study of past. History is the study of past on the basis of evidences. History is the study of past on the basis of evidences. Next point. The father of history is Herodotus. The father of history is Herodotus. In 3rd century BCE. Oh, अभी ठीक करते रुक जाओ, लाइन भूल गया. लिखे लिखे. In 3rd century BCE, he wrote a book. In 3rd century BCE, he wrote a book in a Greek language, Histories. The term history has been derived. The term history has been derived from Historia, which means inquire, knowledge on the basis of investigations. Now, basically, who's the father of history? He was from where? Greek. He wrote a book. What is the meaning of history? The first line. The meaning of history is study of past, right? If we are going into the Greeks, then it means we have to inquire the knowledge on the basis of investigation. So that is what exactly we are doing in history. थोड़ा इसको practical बनाने की कोशिश करते हैं so that student can understand. Like if I am getting this kind of remote, a kind of a object from a excavation, मैंने कहीं पे खुदाई करना शुरू किया and then all of a sudden I got this point, this kind of a stone from the past. Now this will be referred as archaeological or written evidence. क्या बोलेंगे इसको? Definitely archaeological evidence because it does not contain any written words. So always remember, written evidence means whenever we are getting something from history, if there is something written on that, even if it is a pictographical representation, we start calling it as a written evidence. So if I'm getting a remote like this or stone like this, it doesn't matter if there is a kind of a structure like this. For example, then we start saying that it is a particular written evidences. But if I'm getting a particular stone tool, for example, X I'm getting, even it is archaeological evidence, but it will not be categorized as a written evidence because it does not contain any pictographic image or written things. ये बात clear हो गई आसान भाषा में? Now, the point which I have said in the first line, the history is a study of past on the basis of evidences. Now, evidences, this. Now, what I'm saying that evidences can be categorized in two categories. First, which we are discussing, that is archaeological evidence, and second will be your written evidence. So, with me, try to make it like this. Make the heading evidences or sources. Top pick, heading बनाएंगे center में, that would be sources or evidences. आज तो इंट्रोडक्शन है, परेशान मत होना इसमें. In this evidence, try to make two arrows. First will be your archaeological, and second will be your written. In archaeological, subcategories could be tools, pottery, coin, place. Basically, place में हम fort बोल देते हैं. Palaces we can simply also like this. In written evidence, do make the arrows. Manuscripts, inscriptions, उसके बाद क्या कर सकते हैं? Written में और क्या हो सकता है बेटा? Manuscript, inscriptions. What else? Vedas. अरे Vedas are the, अब कैसे बताऊं? हमने लिखा बेटा, this is written by a human. So how that is we can simply say, बहुत देखो जनरली से कैटेगराइज करते हैं हम. Manuscripts can be categorized multiple way. Indian origin, foreign accounts. So Indian origins we can talk about Kautilya's अर्थशास्त्र, विशाखा दत्त की जो किताबें हैं. And in this foreign we can simply talk about Wen Sang, ठीक है, फाहियान, फिर उसके बाद शाहनामा, जो भी बहुत सी किताबें फॉरेनर्स ने लिखी हैं, दैट इज ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ दिस. बट अभी हम स्मॉल कैटेगरीज बना रहे हैं. हाउ मेनी टाइप ऑफ एविडेंसेस और सोर्सेज ऑफ हिस्ट्री कैन बी? ब्रॉडली कितने टाइप के हो सकते हैं सोर्स बेटा? Two type of sources. First would be your archaeological, second would be your written evidences. In archaeology, whatever we imagining, whatever we are getting as an object, that will be archaeological. Whatever written documents we are getting, that is basically could be manuscript or inscription. Now, according to these evidences, we try to decode the history. So जो अभी आपने टर्म लिखे थे ना, जो प्री प्रोटो एंड हिस्ट्री, वो लिखवाई नहीं ना अभी मैंने. So now make the next heading. So according to evidences or sources, आप जिस मर्जी लिख लो. According to evidences or sources, we can classify history in three broad categories. According to sources, we can categorize history in three broad categories. First would be your prehistory. Which means study of past, which means prehistory, which means study of past only on the basis of archaeological evidence. Because during this phase of history, human did not develop any language. Second would be your proto history. It means the study of past, especially that period when humans were evolving with a language mostly pictographic, which we are unable to decode or study, Next is definitely your history. The proper study of past on the basis of proven archaeological and already studied or decoded languages. लिख लिया बेटा everybody. Now I would like to ask from those students जो बात समझ नहीं आई थी, फिर से पूछता हूँ. Among, what is proto history बेटा? Okay. You बेटा, what is prehistory? तेज, थोड़ा तेज. Speak loud.
Study of history, when it became language.
Okay, history before any written language. Very good. Now, Nicholas, you tell me what is exactly history is. Not pre, not proto. What is history? Proper study of past on the basis of written and archaeological evidences. Are we unable to study the written evidence, or we already studied that? In history, whatever the written evidence we have, क्या उनको हमने पढ़ लिया है? Did we study, or still we need to study them? In history or in proto history? बहुत confusion है, पर कोई बात नहीं. Did you get the basics of this pre, proto and history exactly? Nicholas, तुम ही बताओ, तुमसे पूछूंगा. Prehistory. What is prehistory? सुधारना पड़ेगा इसको. What is prehistory? बताओ.
No written evidence. The history, we get history from pictography.
ठीक है. What is proto?
Proto, there is like no written evidence, but pictography. I mean, this one pictography and the other one history is
No language in prehistory. ठीक है, चलो. कुछ बच्चे हैं भी नर्वस है, कोई बात नहीं. Now after this pre proto history, थोड़ा और बेसिक्स में नहीं जाके अभी थोड़ा सा समझते हैं. In history generally we write two words. देखो ध्यान दो ना बेटा. This is basically called dating in history. क्या बोलते हैं बेटा इसको? Dating in history. When we start writing the dates in history, it is bit confusing. And why I'm telling this in the basics, because I want कि basics से आगे बढ़ते हैं हम लोग. What is stand for BC and AD? Before Christ and any dominant. For example, after death we can simply say in Latin को अगर English में translate करें. What does it mean by BCE then or CE then? Common, right? See, generally this is basically if you start using these kind of words like BC or AD. So it means, don't you think that we are basically emphasizing on one particular religion to decode the whole history of the world? For example, BC and AD, before Christ and after the Christ, after the death of Christ. This whole history is totally tilted towards the Eurocentric approach, where we are keeping Jesus in a center to codify whatever the before Jesus or after the Jesus. Earlier, when Europeans were colonizing the whole world, this was accepted. And when the Romans started these things, this was accepted because people were not thinking so much at that time. But during this late 19th, 20th century, what happened? When people start actually analyzing the nationalism concept, then they tried to talk about this. Why do we need to codify the whole history on the basis of one particular religion? We need to create our own system to decode the history. So this BC and AD right now people do not use. Even in Wikipedia, the pages are being changing that BC and AD has not been used in books also. It can be there in the European books, but not in Indian history. Because in India, we generally use this kind of word, BCE, which generally stand for before Common Era. It's not before Christ era, it is before Common Era. In nutshell, BCE. And after this, generally what comes? Common Era, which is eventually called as CE. Things are absolutely same, only name has been changed. Every single thing is same, only the name has been changed. Now try to understand, whenever we talk about history, तो history में आप किसकी study कर रहे हो बेटा? Past. And the beauty of time is this, that time always travel from past to the present. Time ऐसे travel कर रहा है. For example, if you started your journey at 0, so right now your journey is at 2025. So if I say, let me go before 0, तो कैसे predict करोगे उसको? Before 0, what would be? -1. Then what would be? -2. Then would be -3. And there would be -4. For example, 1000 year, 2000 year, 3000 year, and 4000 year. Now, if the time is coming like this, beta, try to understand. So if I'm saying that a person was born or a kingdom was established itself in 3000 year BCE, so that kingdom will end in 4000 or in 2000. Simple. 2000, because the time is coming from past to the present. In that scenario, generally, when we talk about a time before 0, that runs opposite in the direction. Like a person will take birth in 540 and that same person could die in 480. Now your mind will be saying, sir, how can this possible? Because time is reversing itself. No, because it is BCE and it is also BCE. When the time will be in CE, then it will be in positive approach from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 1, 5 to 6. Did you get the point? So in history, this understanding of time is very must. So make the second point, the datings of the history. The datings of the history now has been changed from BC to BCE and from AD to CE. In BCE, the time generally written in opposite or negative, जैसा आपको लिखना हो, or in CE or AD, it is written in a positive manner. Now, focus here, everybody. See here, if I'm saying the date of Indus Valley Civilization is 3300 BCE to 1300 BCE. This is the period of Indus Valley Civilization. Where shall I keep it? In here or in here? In negative, right? It means the Indus Valley Civilization began from this particular period and it declined during this period. So time is coming from past to the present, and that's why things are written opposite or negative approach. Or it means that particular this period, which is 0 exactly, before 0 everything would be your BCE, or after 0 everything will be your CE. Earlier it was AD or this was BC. Got it? Basics of history. यहाँ तो बात समझ आ गई बेटा? Everybody got the point? Done. If you want to create this kind of pictographical representation, you can do so. I'm giving you 30 seconds, or we'll jump next then. So Prince went in depression है. कोई बात नहीं, होता ही होता है. So did you give the pre of this year? How was it? Better than previous. How much did you score?
Approx 60.
Approx 60. And how was CSET?
CSET and clearing like 65 something.
65 or something like this. वो clear हो गया.
Okay. सर GS नहीं हो रहा.
Did you also give it up this year? No. Next year target, right? चलो बहुत बढ़िया है फिर तो. Now let's move ahead, beta. Now we'll little bit try to understand the introduction of Indian history. We barely write something. We try to make the full understanding of the historical timeline of the ancient and medieval India. And आम भाषा में अगर मैं कहूँ आप लोगों को, कुछ बच्चों को हिंदी ज्यादा समझ आती है, तो हम कुछ बहुत कम लिखेंगे. हम एंशिएंट से कहानी को शुरू करेंगे एंड विल गो इनटू द मिडीवल, और पूरी कहानी की एक इंडेक्शन तैयार करेंगे कि किस स्टोरी के बाद क्या, कैसे और क्यों चीजें हुई हैं. Because the one and the most complex feature of understanding history is this, that you don't understand it what particular thing is going on and why it is going on. यहाँ पे कुछ और चल रहा है, here something is, other thing is going on, something is here, and in books it is written like, actually like books में ऐसी लिखी होती हैं चीजें, you are not able to understand that how this point is connected with this dynasty. So in this first class of introduction we'll try to make an index, proper index of ancient history. जो पूरी finish हो जाएगी then we'll begin with the medieval, but in today's class we'll make the timeline of ancient history. Got the point? So now come on the fresh page and उसको ना horizontally कर लीजिएगा, horizontal page, and make the heading the timeline of ancient Indian history. The timeline of ancient Indian history. पर्टिकुलरली यहां से कहानी को शुरू करेंगे 3300 to 1300 BCE. ठीक है, अभी रुक जाओ, तो लिखना होगा तो बताता हूं आपको. एंड बिलो दिस यू गाइस हैव टू राइट, मतलब जब लिखोगे दैट विल बी इंडस वैली civilization. Second will be your 1500 to 600 BCE. In that, you're going to write two things. चलो तो बात की बात है. फर्स्ट इतना नोट डाउन कर लीजिए आपको क्लियरली, अपने फॉन्ट्स को छोटा रखिएगा, बिकॉज विल राइट मोर एंड मोर थिंग्स इन दैट. डन एवरीबॉडी? तो लिख लो, कोई बात नहीं, हैव टाइम। सिंस तुम तो हिस्ट्री पढ़ी होगी, यू आल्सो स्टडीड द हिस्ट्री, ठीक है? कौन कितने लोग पहली बार पढ़ रहे हैं? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू स्टडीइंग फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम? 1 2, बस 2 बच्चे। यू ऑलरेडी स्टडीड हिस्ट्री, कंप्लीट हिस्ट्री। फिर तो पता होगा ये सब। हम्म डोंट वरी, आफ्टर दीज 30 and 35 क्लासेस आपको हिस्ट्री मास्टर्स हो जाएंगे आप हिस्ट्री के। यू विल अंडरस्टैंड द हिस्ट्री। फैक्ट्स तो यहाँ बैठाने पड़ेंगे खुद ही आप लोगों को। आई विल ट्राई टू मेक इट वेरी इजी फॉर यू, ट्राई करूंगा। समझ लिया बेटा? देन एवरीबॉडी नाउ फोकस। बेसिकली ये अब जितना पॉइंट्स अपने बनाया ना बेटा, like we came to the story till 185 BCE. It means we begin our history from this particular phase and we are coming to the phase of BCE. Still means हम BCE के अंदर ही कहानी को यहाँ तक लेके आए। But your ancient history according to the political structure, it ended near about 700 CE. It means if it is 185 तो 700 साल उधर हो गए और somehow 200 ईयर इधर, तो अभी भी 900 साल की कहानी बाकी है आपकी। But before understanding these 900 years, few things you need to write more. जो आपने मैप्स बनाए ना अभी तक ये, उसके नीचे आ जाओ एंड मेक द पॉइंट मैपिंग्स ऑफ दीज फेसेस, मतलब इनके मैप्स बनाने हैं आपको। और कैसे बनाने, लेट मी टेल यू। सी, द फर्स्ट इज योर 3300 BCE टू 1300 BC। ओ ज्यादा हो जाता है अभी तो। व्हाट द पॉइंट? नाउ ड्यूरिंग दिस फेस आई एम जस्ट गिविंग अ डेमोग्राफिकल मैप, तो एक्सपर्ट मत सोचिए कि बहुत अच्छे मैप बनने वाले हैं। जस्ट गिविंग यू लो अंडरस्टैंडिंग, थोड़ा सा मिल जाएगा आपको। That this is approximately that phase of Indus Valley Civilization. Second, what is the second phase of study? From 1500 to 600 BC. Yes or no? Right? If somebody is asking कि चलो भाई इस समय क्या चल रहा था? Let me simply reframe it. In this period, the political rule might have increased from this position to this position. Right? Third is your from 600 to 185 BCE. And in this projection, your history would be, or the political domination will be, so this might be your political map जहां तक अब डायनेस्टीज फैल चुकी होंगी। एंड लेट मी टेल यू अंडरस्टैंडिंग, फिर उसके बाद की चैप्टर्स को पिक करेंगे बाद की कहानियों में। दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव रिटन। इतनी बातें लिखी बेटा आप लोगों ने टाइमलाइन में। नाउ ट्राई टू गेट द पॉइंट। भाई बनाओ मत प्लीज, ट्राई टू ऑब्जर्व एंड अंडरस्टैंड इट। व्हाट आई एम सेइंग बेटा इन एवरी सिंगल पॉइंट, that during this phase which we have written na, from 3300 to 1300 BCE, which is basically known as your Indus Valley Civilization. During this phase, the whole Indian history was only studied in this phase. Your second phase is your Rig Vedic phase, or Vedic phase, which is from 1500 to 600 BCE. During this period, this society of human moved from this location to this location on the bank of Ganga and Yamuna river. And after this, the same people who were living in a tribal nature, the small fragments of people divide into the later kingdoms. किसमें बन गए होंगे ये लोग? Kingdoms के अंदर। Let me simply tell you, how many states do we have in India? अभी 28 state, right? Now, if somebody is asking you that, can you please tell me from 600 BCE to 200 BCE, how many states were there in India? तो मुश्किल होगा बताना, because at that time we were not present. But according to some sources, we say this phase was called as Mahajanpad phase. And Mahajanpad, try to get the word beta. देखो थोड़ी थोड़ी बातें समझो। In this period, people were basically living in a family, and that family is known as Kul. What we call them? Kula. From Kul, we created Jana. क्या बनाया बेटा हमने? From Jana, we created a Janapad. And from Janapad, what we created? Mahajanpadas. Now these Mahajanpads are the big cities. Like today's we have 28 cities. That time there were 16 Mahajanpads. Before that, what we had? Janapads. Then Jana, and then means Kula. Like a social unit which is exactly in present scenario काम करती है. Like in every single state, we have multiple families. Every single family is a Kula. Thousands of families are living in one place, that becomes society. Society emerges a town, town emerges city, city emerges state, and state emerges country. Similarly, everything begins from Kul to महाजनपद। ये बात समझ आई आपको? इन इजी वे, हाउ मेनी महाजनपद वर देयर बेटा? 16 महाजनपद. Among these 16 Mahajanpad, there was one very powerful Mahajanpad that is known as Magad. And this Magad Mahajanpad were basically ruled by four major powerful families. First family was Haryanka's family. Second family was Naga family. Third family was Nandas. And fourth one is Mauryas. It is introduction. Families को ढंग से पढ़ना हम लोगों ने. Mauryas. And why after Mauryas there is north, east, central and south? Because Mauryas were the one beta who all together control all these 16 Mahajanpads. Whole India had only one kingdom. That kingdom name was Mauryas. And Mauryas basically ruled for near about 250 years. उससे भी कम था वैसे तो. Like basically they start ruling from 322, but हम 320 लेते हैं approximately, and their kingdom ended in 185 BCE. So it is very small rule. But within this small rule, they control over the whole India from Afghanistan to the town of, you can simply say, Kanyakumari. Even from your Manipur, Mizoram to the Gujarat, every single particular geographical location of India was under control of Mauryas. But history is very certain. In that certainty, one thing is fixed. Every single dynasty or kingdom will collapse once. Or one day it has to end. The same thing happened with the Mauryas. In 185 BC, Mauryas also disintegrated. And when Mauryas were declined, beta, and when Mauryas basically declined their power, so the whole Indian history was divided into the four categories. First one was the actually what was happening in North India, actually what was happening in the East India, what was happening in Central India, and what is happening in the South India. So according to this understanding, इधर आ जाओ थोड़ा सा. Let me bring a new map for you. For example, if I simply say after the Maurya, there was four things to study. One was extreme north, one was east, one is central, and one is south. Extreme north was ruled by कौन है बेटा? Indo Greeks. हाँ, that is उनके साथी बेटा. And that Pahlavis, Scythian, and all together in the end, Kushanas. Who will come in the rule, beta? Kushanas. And after Kushana, if I simply say, there will be a family that is known as Gupta family. In East, basically, there was immediate after Maurya, there was Sung family. Sung will be replaced by Kanavs, and Kanav will be replaced by Satvahana. In Central, for 100 years, there was a void, no kingdom, small fragment, but all together a powerful power emerged. Satvahana, that Satvahana same. They tried to establish their empire and conquered the Kanavs also. In South India, basically history is quite up and down, but we can simply say during the time of Mauryas, Sangam was going on. In that we have Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas we study. So till the Mauryas, things were very good. Why things were very good? Because Mauryas tried to control the whole India like this. And when Mauryas tried to control their whole India, it was very good. But when Maurya disintegrated, this region was majorly controlled by this lineage. Slowly they spread their empire like this, beta. This region was basically controlled by this lineage. This area is basically controlled by this family lineage. And this area is controlled by the Sangam age. बात समझ आ रही बेटा? Everybody is getting the point what I'm saying. That after the Mauryas, the things have become more complex in history, but before Mauryas, it is very simple as it is. Like if I tell you that how many history you have to study, you simply say I have to study Indian history. But if I simply say you have to study 28 history, it means you have to study every single state history. And that is what exactly happened after the Mauryas. Before Mauryas, history was. After the Mauryas, according to zone, there were multiple families to rule. अभी मैपिंग थोड़ा और अच्छे से करते हैं. Did you get this point, beta? Now after Satvahana, south was replaced by Vakatakas, and Vakataks were replaced by Chalukyas. So similarly, this family timeline is going like this. Sangams तो बहुत दूर की बात हो जाएगी, but Sangams के बाद पढ़ना जो होगा that is Pallavas and then Chalukyas. After Gupta, there will be history that of Harsha. Now, क्या इतनी बात समझ आई बेटा? How many of you getting this little bit? थोड़ा बहुत भी समझ आया हो? आई डोंट वांट कि पूरा समझो, बिकॉज पहली क्लास कुछ समझ नहीं आना चाहिए आप लोग को। प्रिंस, आपने पढ़ रखा है, डिड यू गेट द पॉइंट बेटा, पक्का? ठीक है, अभी कुछ थोड़ा बहुत आई आस्क क्वेश्चंस, बिकॉज मैं स्लाइड्स को अच्छा बनाता हूँ, फिर कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछूंगा आपसे भी। यहां तक कंप्लीट है ना आप लोग का? मैपिंग भी हो चुकी है। फर्स्ट मेक द मैप टिल 185 BC। मेक द स्मॉल मैप्स, डोंट मेक बिग मैप्स, छोटे छोटे बना लो बस, फॉर द नोट मेकिंग। स्टार फिश नहीं का बनाने को और ठीक है, चलो कोशिश करते रहो। ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट अंकुश, नव्या, सानिया, वानी, सुरभि, सुदिता, यस, नो, गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड आफ्टरनून, कुछ तो। इतना भी छोटा नहीं बनाना बेटा कि दिखाई ना दे बाद में वो, हाँ। राइट, दिख रहा है। सो डिड यू कंप्लीट हिस्ट्री? गुड गुड। मैप्स, गुड। आगे बढ़े, चलो। सो जो ये टाइमलाइन बेटा दैट वी एंडेड हियर राइट ना आफ्टर मौर्यस, दिस टाइमलाइन आई एम गोइंग टू स्ट्रेच आउट मोर। तो थोड़ा सा इसको श्रिंक करके स्ट्रेच करते हैं, बिकॉज द थिंग्स वी डू नॉट रिक्वायर्ड नाउ। नाउ ट्राई टू गेट द पॉइंट। सो आई कैन सिंपली राइट हियर मौर्यस, एंड आफ्टर मौर्यस नॉर्थ में कौन आएंगे बेटा? इंडो ग्रीक्स, वेरी गुड। नाउ इंडो ग्रीक्स विल बी रिप्लेस्ड बाय Parthians. Try to understand this Parthian and Scythians, even Indo-Greeks. ऐसा नहीं होता ना कि एक फैमिली पूरी खत्म हो जाएगी बेटा, some fragment of the family will remain to rule it. So it means all together North India में in some places there will be Indo-Greeks, in some places there will be Scythian, in some places there will be Parthians. But all of them will be taken out or removed by one powerful kingdom that will be known as Kushanas. कौन रूल करना आएगा बेटा आपका? Kushanas, Kushans. चलो ठीक है, बाद में स्पेलिंग कर लेंगे हम। This is story of North India. What exactly happened in East India? After the Mauryas, who will be ruling? Sung family. And after Sung, who will be ruling, beta? Kanvas will be ruling. And Kanvas will be replaced by Satvahanas. And I can simply say these are the same Satvahans जो सेंट्रल में अपने इस 100 ईयर के गैप्स को फिनिश करके रूलिंग द सेम इन द सेंट्रल इंडिया. सो दे बोथ आर एट वन फैमिली, कोई दिक्कत की बात नहीं है. And then there will be South India. In South India, there will be for long period nothing, but there will be a Sangam. And after Sangam, there will be, after many years, there will be Pallavas. बीच में छोटी फैमिलीज आती रहेंगी. नाउ ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड बेटा, समझो. व्हेन आई एम आस्किंग दैट इफ कुशानाज आर रूलिंग इन नॉर्थ इंडिया, देन हु इज रूलिंग इन ईस्ट एंड सेंट्रल इंडिया? व्हेन कुशानाज आर रूलिंग इन नॉर्थ इंडिया, उनके सामने ही कौन रूल कर रहा होगा? सतवाहना. एंड व्हाई आई एम राइटिंग बिलो देम? बिकॉज दे आर कंटेम्पररी रूलर ऑफ ईच अदर्स. Even if I simply say, so these are contemporary rulers of each other. So they are contemporary. It means when North India will be ruled by Kushanas, then Central India will be ruled by Satvahans. Below that, there will be families of Sangam families. जिसके अंदर Cholas, Cheras and Pandyas separately I'll teach in South Indian history. इतनी बात क्लियर हो गई बेटा? Now try to get, लिखते तो रहोगे आप सब, पूरा पेज ही गायब कर दो. Now Kushanas will be replaced by Guptas and Satvahans will be replaced by Vakatakas. Now, simply I can say that Guptas and Vakataks are contemporary to each other. Guptas will be replaced by Harsha and Vakataks will be replaced by Chalukya. So they are contemporary. And in South India, Pallavas. Even they are contemporary to each other. डन बेटा, बना लो आराम से बना दो। Now it's time to ask some questions. अब बहुत सिंपल है, सो सामने रहेगा तो बता ही दोगे आप लोग, because you guys are quite cheetah. Now, if I simply say after the Mauryas, what was the history of North India? नॉर्थ इंडिया में कौन कौन सी फैमिलीज आ सकती हैं पॉसिबली? फर्स्ट वुड बी योर इंडो ग्रीक्स. बेसिकली इंडो ग्रीक्स आर कंटेम्पररी टू मौर्यस, बट हम ठीक से इंडो ग्रीक्स. आफ्टर दैट पार्थियंस, कंटेम्पररी. उनके साथ ही नीचे क्या लिखा है हम लोगों ने? नो नो, पार्थियंस एंड सिंथियंस, right, in North India generally. And these families were replaced by which dynasty? Kushanas. Kushanas will be replaced by the Guptas, and Guptas will be replaced by the Harshvardhan. And Harsha end is end of ancient history. North में. What is exactly history of East after the Mauryas? Immediate after the Mauryas, who ruled the East India? Sungas. And who replaced the Sungas? And who replaced the Kanvas? Satvahans. These Satvahans, they came from where? Central India. Hopefully from Andhra Pradesh or Maharashtra के origin है इनके. And from then they start making their whole kingdom in there. Similarly, South में कौन rule कर रहा होगा बेटा at that time? Sangams. ठीक है, Satvahans will be replaced by the Vakataks. Vakataks will be replaced by the Chalukyas. Chalukyas and Harshvardhan are contemporary, yes or no? समझ आ रहा है ना ऐसे बात में? तो चलो मैं आपको छोटी सी कहानी दिखाता हूँ, मतलब दिखाना है क्या, समझना भी है. हिस्ट्री मीन्स ऑब्जर्वेशन, ज्योग्राफी थोड़ा सा समझना जरूरी है. चलो आगे होगा ना. हर्षा डिफीटेड, क्या लिखा बेटा? So Harsha was defeated by the Emperor Pulakeshin II of which dynasty? Why Chalukya dynasty? Because Chalukyas were the contemporary. So there could be possibility ना that when Harshvardhan tried to go in South India or Central India में कि चलो भाई ईस्ट कहाँ नॉर्थ और सेंट्रल मूव करते हैं, then who stopped him? Definitely the Chalukyan king. I am a ruler of North India as an Harshvardhan. You are the ruler of Central India as a Pulakeshin II. When I will try to cross or intervene in your boundary, you will definitely try to defeat me, and that is where Harsha was defeated. Similarly, one more thing you need to understand. History, beta, try to observe it. आ गया होगा अब तक तो. That is basically a kind of a history which we need to understand. अगर थोड़ा सा इसमें आ रहा होगा. See here, this line. Prabhavati Gupta was second, the ruler of Gupta Empire. The queen Kuberna, जहाँ जो पुत्री थी उनकी, she married to Rudrasen, second of which dynasty beta? Vakataks. Now you try to get the line. Why the Chandragupta's second daughter had to marry with Vakatak ruler? Because they were contemporary. And if I cannot directly conquer a territory, so there could be a diplomatic way. And that diplomatic way to allow my daughter to marry the enemy ruler. Or to make that enemy a friend, I can offer a marriage proposal. बात समझ आ रही है? That is what we need to study, beta. History is observation. Now, let me tell you something. Mauryan Empire. Because कहानी उसके बाद ही complex होती है बेटा. This is the image of Mauryan Empire. So you can see very clearly this Mauryan Empire is ruling from particular modern day Afghanistan to the South India. This regions which you look clearly जो इनके control में नहीं है, these regions will be captured by the Bindusara and this will be captured by the Ashoka later on. This is the image of Mauryan dynasty. So sometime it is represented like this. Maurya is here like this. Mauryan dynasty ruling the whole India. South में कौन दिख रहा है बेटा आपको? Cheras, Pandyas and Cholas. These are the Sangam dynasties. Getting the point? After the Mauryas, North India में कौन है बेटा? जल्दी बताओ. इंडो ग्रीक्स. नाउ दिस इज आई एम गिविंग यू ओनली कि कैसे पढ़ाई करनी है आपको. लेटर ऑन दिस इज योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. एवरी सिंगल किंगडम यू गो होम, चेक ऑन विकिपीडिया. वेयर इज इंडो ग्रीक्स? कहां रूल कर रहे हैं बेटा ये? रिमेंबर द मौर्यस वर रूलिंग इन अफगानिस्तान. दे वर रिप्लेस्ड बाय द इंडो ग्रीक्स. कंटेम्पररी थे इनके वैसे तो. आफ्टर इंडो ग्रीक हु केम बेटा? ना बीच में, यस एग्जैक्टली, अब धीरे धीरे पढ़ना समझना, दैट इज पार्थियन। नाउ दे वर वेरी पावरफुल डायनेस्टीज इवेंचुअली, कहते हैं ना लोकल्स ने रूल किया बहुत लंबे समय तक। सो यू सी दिस इज गुजरात इवेंचुअली बेटा, एंड दिस इज प्रेजेंट डे रीजन ऑफ पाकिस्तान अफगानिस्तान। हु इज रूलिंग द डायनेस्टी एरिया? Parthian empires. And after Parthians, Scythian, then we have Kushana, yes or no? Wow. You see this, which empire it is beta? Kushanas. And Kushana's contemporary, Satavahan's contemporary, Cholas, Pandyas, these Sangam kingdoms, so they are contemporary to each other. And you see these Kushanas are ruling far Mathura and all region, and these are immediately enemies by the Satavahan kingdom. Got the point? And lastly you can see the Gupta empire, then we will move ahead. Now you see Gupta empire contemporary is Vakataks come, मतलब इसके नीचे क्या है बेटा आपके? Pallava. So you can simply say if there is a ruler of the Chandragupta II, so he is definitely going to allow his daughter to marry Vakataks because this is the only territory which is unremain to be the part of Guptas. And lastly Harsha भी देख लो एक बार so that the things will be clear. This is Harsha Empire, and Harsha Empire contemporary you can see what we can generally figure it out. This is good. This one is Harsha contemporary, Chalukyas contemporary, Pallavas. So they will, when Harsha tried to cross Narmada, he will be defeated by Pulakeshi II while crossing the Narmada. Getting the point? So it means from the Indus Valley Civilization to the Harsha in north and Chalukyas in the central and Pallavas in the south is considered to be the ancient history. After that, whatever will be we study, that will be your medieval history. So medieval abhi nahi kuch karna, because first we try to figure it out that how the ancient was working. All clear? सबको हो गया बात? After this बेटा ये तो बातें होती रहेंगी हमारी. Timeline mapping. So after this, one more thing you need to figure out how we are going to approach this subject for UPSC pre and mains prospective. दोनों ही तो कवर करने हैं हमको इसमें. Now try to understand. This shall be your markup or strategy to decode the history. Abhi don't write anything. Understand. If I simply ask you how many kingdoms we have seen or how many divisions we have seen in history, see there, either first family. Oh, that map I think is just a second. बहुत दूर चला गया ये. Let me figure it out for you guys. इधर आ जाओ, चलो देखो बेटा. Everybody focus. Now first was your Indus, second is your Vedic, third phase is your Mahajanpad phase, which include this whole, and then eventually what it is Mauryas, and then what it is post Mauryas. समझो chapters कैसे हैं बेटा. First one is your Indus Valley Civilization, second is your Vedic phase, third is your Mahajanpad, then Mauryas, after Mauryas post Mauryas, and this is everything post Mauryas. And after post Maurya there will be Gupta, and after Gupta there will be post Gupta. This is your syllabus. Accurately, this is your syllabus. Now when you get the syllabus, Indus, Vedic, Mahajanpad, Mauryas, post Mauryas, Guptas and post Guptas. Now the strategy would be you pick up Indus Valley Civilization, for example. Indus Valley Civilization, let me talk about polity. क्या बात करना है बेटा? Polity. Let me talk about economy. Let me talk about society. Right? In society, we will talk about religion. किसकी बात करेंगे बेटा? We'll talk about वर्ण system. किसकी बात करेंगे? We'll talk about the status of women. इन तीन पे प्राइमरी फोकस करेंगे हम लोग. इन इकोनॉमी विल ट्राई टू टेकल आउट इकोनॉमी कैसी है, पेस्टोरल है, एग्रीकल्चरल है, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ इकोनॉमिकल फाउंडेशंस, डू दे हैव टैक्सेशन सिस्टम और नॉट, ये बात करना होगा. इन पॉलिटी विल टॉक अबाउट टू थिंग्स, द एक्चुअल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ द किंग और द किंग आर्मी. नथिंग एल्स वी नीड टू स्टडी मोर. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 डिविजन्स इन एवरी सिंगल किंगडम यू हैव टू स्टडी. कल को अगर पढ़ने के बाद इफ आई एम आस्किंग व्हाट वाज इंडस पॉलिटी, व्हाट इज इंडस सोसाइटी, व्हाट इज इंडस सिस्टम, तो आपको सब पता होना चाहिए उसके बारे में, द पर्टिकुलर किंगडम एंड ऑल एवरीथिंग. फिर उसके बाद क्या आएगा? ऋग्वेद. Similarly ask what was the Vedic economy, Vedic polity, Vedic society. Between this there will be statics. Similarly उसके बाद क्या आएगा? महाजनपद. In महाजनपद what was their justice system, मतलब polity, society, economy, that's what you have to study. हर एक पूरी families को from the ancient to the modern you have to decode every single kingdom in this 4 categories. After understanding in 4 categories, you can easily write the mains, you can easily give the answers of pre. ये बात क्लियर हो गई? पक्का? कहानी शुरू करें फिर? बहुत टाइम है मेरे पास. अच्छा, एक चीज मिस हो गई बातों में, दैट आई हैव टू फिगर इट आउट. सो ये कहां बेटा, कहां शुरू कहानी? इंडस वैली से, राइट? सो इंडस आई मेंशन कैसी कहानी होगी आपकी? प्रोटो. एंड वैदिक विल बी योर. So basically your history begin from here because यहाँ certain evidence we are getting it. This is written but not able to decode it. Don't you think before Indus there would be something? Before Indus there would be something, right? And that would be something is your prehistory of India. What we call it? Prehistory of India. So now we have two and three options. Either we can pick up the prehistory India, which is quite confusing for a bit. बहुत कुछ समझना पड़ेगा उसके अंदर. Multiple Chalcolithic phase, Iron Age, बहुत complex हो थोड़ा वो. Second, we can begin from the proto history by taking an overview that how was society before the proto or near the proto. आप बताओ क्या करना है? Or else we can start the history from exactly Rigvedic society. ये तीनों आप पे निर्भर है. और ऐसा मत बोलना कि सर देयर वुड बी सम कनेक्शन. हाँ, थोड़े बहुत कनेक्शन है, बट देयर इज नो सच एक्सट्रीम कनेक्शंस. तो बता दो क्या पढ़ना है.
Prehistory के ऊपर almost sites है वो Paleolithic, Neolithic सब में same सी sites. और सर वो याद करने वाली चीजें
That's why generally don't pick it. Prehistory उतना पिक भी नहीं करता मैं. Sir, we begin with the proto history. अच्छा, चलो चलो चलो. Remember in art and culture. और एक क्वेश्चन इस बार इतना बेवकूफ वाला पूछा ना यूपीएससी वालों ने. Did you see the paper बेटा? है ना, कितना पेपर देखा? कैसा क्वेश्चन था बेटा आर्ट एंड कल्चर का हिस्ट्री से बताना एक? तुम. हाँ, ब्रॉन्ज डांसिंग गर्ल. कैन यू इमेजिन इट? व्हाट हैपेंड टू द यूपीएससी? ये कोई क्वेश्चन पूछने वाला? ये तो मतलब अगर आप ना भी पढ़ो आर्ट एंड कल्चर तब भी आप आंसर कर लो. देयर वाज नो सच क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम डांसेस. स्तूपास सब खत्म. ब्रॉन्ज डांसिंग गर्ल. वो बच्चे सोचते हैं दिस कुड नॉट बी इजी. यूपीएससी इतना आसान क्वेश्चन पूछेगा, देन यू स्टार्ट यूजिंग योर माइंड. खत्म मामला. एनीवेज, so while teaching the art and culture I simply asked one thing at like a day I can't remember kaun sa tha, but I asked this question: what is the meaning of civilization? batao beta. Nicholas, what is civilization? Among was there also. Yes, Among, what is civilization? तुम लोग भी सोचो बेटा, पहली क्लास है, वार्म अप करने में टाइम लगेगा आप लोग को. And trust me, after 2 and 3 class history will be interesting. अभी तो बहुत बोरिंग लग रही होगी, क्या ही पढ़ रहे हैं हम लोग. हाँ, what is civilization बेटा? Your name is Lumius. बताएं, what is civilization?
People come to organize their lives and in a more planned structure.
When people come organized their lifestyle, they live in a structure. ठीक है, अच्छा है. ओ भैया इधर भी देख लो, सोच रहे महादेव को पूछूंगा नहीं. टेल मी, व्हाट इज सिविलाइजेशन बेटा? I got your point. People have some certain boundaries. They're living under these terms and conditions of society. What is civilization बेटा? अपनी लाइफ में चेंज, समाज में चेंज करना. बेटा व्हाट इज सिविलाइजेशन? when people of that particular area is educated, changing for better than before. आप Nicholas?
Where people become more civilized, live in a structured society.
Civilization means when people become more civilized, living in a structure. Wow, everybody is giving very good answers. है ना? So it means in every definition of yours, I generally found one thing, that when a human is living under a boundaries of something, एक particular terms and conditions है society की, when they are particularly structured in living, having the proper appetite, क्या खाना है क्या नहीं खाना, they know, they understood the meaning of relationship, and they are living in a certain boundaries for their development. This is exactly meaning of civilization. You are absolutely correct in that one or another way. Now tell me, what was the greatest or powerful civilizations in history? Indian, Indus, or Chinese civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, Sumerian, that is eventually the Egyptian civilization, we can simply say. So it means in history there are many kingdoms. कई तो ऐसे बेटा they are even lost in the history and not even written once. But when we, sometime ancient, civilizations. बहुत सारी पिक्चर खुल गई क्या? Yes. I have to pick up the map. Then you guys try to understand it. Oh, Cleopatra. अच्छी रानी थी. एक बार मुलाकात हुई थी इनसे. Ah, this is cool. Now see this. There are few places which are highlighted very powerfully. That first one is this area. This is basically the area of Nile River. In present, it is Egypt, and that's why this is called ancient Egyptian civilization. Second one is this Iraq, Iran region on the bank of Euphrates and Tigris. People earlier called it as Mesopotamian, Babylon, or later this began as a Sumerian. So this is basically Mesopotamian civilization. Beyond that, we have Indus Valley Civilization, which is Indus and Saraswati civilization. And lastly, we have Yellow River Chinese civilization. Beyond that, we have some Khmer, okay? We have some Mali and Zimbabwe civilization. But they are not highly called as civilized people like we were. But it means क्या दुनिया में सब लोग यहीं रह रहे थे और there were some other areas also. In present context, we can simply ignore the word civilization. We take the word developed. How many countries are developed right now? If you start looking, then you can simply give the example of 5 or 10, maybe 20 countries, right? Are there only 20 countries in the world? There are 193 recognized by the UNO. It means if there are 193 countries, why we are talking about only 2 or 10 developed nation? USA, UK, Britain, France, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Brazil, all these. What about all remaining 170 countries? Where are they? You even don't know. Similarly, in history, what happens? They are the 4 greatest civilization. It doesn't mean that there were no other civilization. It doesn't mean there were no other people were living. People were there, but they were not that much powerful and popular. Hence, they got the name in the history. बात समझ आ रही है आपको? Like in America, there is Mayan civilization, but people generally don't talk about it. Even in image, if you are looking, you don't find North America. It is Africa, this is Europe, this is your Asia, this is Australia, this is North and South America. It is not even mentioned in history because they were discovered in 1492. बहुत दूर की बात है. So these 4 are one of the greatest civilization in the history. It means the term which I've asked, what is civilization? Wherever you give your definitions, proper management of life and all, these things happen only in these 4 areas. Now my question, how and where people came in this civilization or these areas? बताएं प्रिंस, कहां से आएंगे ये लोग बेटा? बताओ, where they came from? अरे यार तुम लोग ना बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स पढ़ाई कर रहे हो. I don't generally appreciate, but थोड़ा पढ़ाई का तरीका बदलिए, अदरवाइज एग्जाम्स क्रैक करना मुश्किल हो जाए आप लोगों के लिए. Now you try to clearly observe the image. हाँ, थोड़ा सा इससे अच्छे से ओपन कर लेते हैं. चलो. Now see बेटा, this is basically a particular place which is known as Africa. From Africa, you can say people moved here. Some people moved here eventually. Then some people moved to the Russia to the North America, and from North America to South America. Some people from this location they moved in here, later on here, and some recently went to the Australia and later on the places. By this early human migration theory, we can simply believe that one of the ancient or earliest human ancestor was from Africa. Australopithecus, the name has been given, right? From Africa. When humans like us, minded species, people called us Homo sapiens. These Homo sapiens, when they explored whole Africa, they had curiosity. Let me find something new place to visit, because wherever I'm living, the resources are less. I've already explored everything. I want to explore some new things. So not everybody, few of them took the risk and moved ahead. Few of them died on the way, but few of them have reached a place and discovered a new place. They start living there for many years, 1,000, 2,000 years. Then few of them understood, it's been so much crowded here. Few again took the risk and moved ahead. And this keep moving ahead philosophy, human was keep going and discovering new places. The great example, if I say Delhi, every time I generally give this example, Noida, Greater Noida, Noida extension. What is the basic difference between this? When Delhi became overpopulated, overcrowded, government came with the agenda that let me shift this population to the new areas. People were not ready to go. Government offered them offers. ये चीज मिल जाएगी आपको. When people gathered in Noida also, government also thought, okay, let me stretch this area. they created Noida extension. People also moved in that particular area. When they're moving up more, people's government stretched the area more. It's become Greater Noida. So whatever the new city has been developed in Greater Noidas, they are developed one. But Delhi is not developed. Delhi cities are planted in 1700. This cannot be replaced. This cannot be renovated, sorry. It will be always replaced. इसको renovate नहीं कर सकते आप. New areas can be renovated or replaced. So same thing, beta. When African early human ancestors start moving from Africa to Egypt, so some of them stayed in Egypt. They made a civilization. Some of them moved ahead. They reached and lived between the Euphrates and Tigris. Because what is the basic need for civilization? Water. Without water, there is no sustainability. So wherever they are getting the pure water, they are residing in there. पहले कहाँ रुके होंगे बेटा? Earlier, where they must have stayed? Egypt. Then where they must have stayed? Mesopotamia. Then where they must have stayed? Indus Valley Civilization. Then where they must have stayed? Chinese civilization. Earlier, here also, everywhere were definitely civilizations. But these become one of the greatest civilization of the world. And hence, this particular belt of this world is referred as the ancient world civilization. We are not saying just in a theory. We have the proper evidences of trades. The people of Indus Valley Civilization, our people, our ancestors were having trade with Egyptian people because the seals have been interchanged. Our people had a trade with the Mesopotamian people because their seals have been found in India. It means there would have been some trade practices. And people sometimes believe the people who lived in Indus Valley Civilization, they must have moved from Mesopotamia to the Indus. Otherwise, from where they come, beta? कहाँ से आए होंगे? There is no such possibility of anything else. There's only one possibility, that maybe those Mesopotamian people who have realized that we are overcrowded, they must have taken the step and moved ahead and find a river that is known as Indus and stayed on the bank of Indus Valley, and then they created the whole city, Indus Valley Civilization. Because the people who were living in Indus, they were far developed than the Egyptian people, Mesopotamian people, even with the Chinese people. Now the question again coming, then when they had nobody to teach them, when there is no political ruler, how they were civilized and how they were so much knowledgeable. जब कोई था ही नहीं उनको बताने के लिए, तो उनको zero, numerics, measurements, particular writing skill, city building, drainage building, ये सब बताया किसने होगा? Exactly. And सोचेंगे कब बेटा? When they have faced it. If I simply ask you, give me 5 suggestions to change this classroom or renovate this classroom, so you will try to find out the problem and then you give me a solution. The people who must have lived in Mesopotamia, they found the problem of Mesopotamia. तो उनको लगा होगा क्या let me construct a new city in this place. ये एक बहुत बड़ी theory है बेटा. It's not proper truth. Second thing, all these civilization evolve contemporary. ऐसा नहीं कि इनके बाद ये, इनके बाद ये, इनके बाद ये, नहीं. यहाँ इजिप्ट इवॉल्व हो रही है, यहाँ मेसोपोटामिया इवॉल्व हो रहे हैं, यहाँ पे इंडस इवॉल्व हो रहा है. दे इवॉल्व कंटेम्पररी टू ईच अदर बिकॉज देयर टाइम्स ऑफ रूलिंग इज सेम. 3000 to 200,000, 2000 साल में ही सब हो रहा है सब कुछ. Got the point? How they came from there? So the evidence is basically early human migration theory could be the reason for this. समझ आई बात को? So now on a fresh page, write the 4 ancient civilization of the world. The 4 ancient civilization of the world. देखो वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री तो अभी ज्यादा आपकी एंशिएंट वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री तो नहीं आती बट आपके एग्जाम में, बट येट यू कैन राइट. फर्स्ट वन इज इजिप्शियन सिविलाइजेशन on the bank of Nile River. On the bank of Nile River. The second one is Mesopotamian civilization on the bank of 2 rivers, Euphrates and Tigris. Euphrates and Tigris. Next one. Harappan civilization. Harappan civilization. On the bank of Indus and Saraswati. On the bank of Indus and Saraswati. The fourth one is Chinese civilization. On the bank of Yellow River. Sure. Now clearly बेटा, दो तीन बातें आप समझ लीजिएगा. मैं दूर चला जाता हूँ कभी कभी, बट दूर नहीं जाना चाहिए. ये देखो, आ जाओ. ट्राई टू फोकस हियर बेटा. हिस्ट्री पढ़ी हुआ ना हो, लेकिन यू माइट हैव लिसन दिस दैट देयर वाज अ किंग नोन एज अलेक्जेंडर. सुना होगा ना? And that king had intention to rule over the world, and that's why he had a dream to become the conqueror of the world, and he start this journey from Macedonia place, that is in Greece. And his dream was very simple, that he wanted to conquer the world on the basis of, at that time of knowledge, that he begins his journey from Greece. From Greece he entered to the Middle East. From Middle East he tried to enter Indus Valley. His dream was to conquer this, reaching back to the Egypt and be the master of this world. This was a dream of Alexander the Great. Very simply to say. Now, as we have seen in India, this particular period जो हमने देखा था ना, there was a period known as Mahajanpad. Remember? Connect करना है सब कुछ बेटा. Mahajanpadas. When Mahajanpad was ruling in this particular region, this region was basically controlled by another family that were known as Persians. क्या बोलते थे इनको हम लोग? Persians, Sumerians, जो भी आपको नाम देना हो आप दे सकते हो. Achaemenid Empire. This particular region was controlled by another kingdom, that is Macedonians. क्या बोलते थे इसको? Macedonians. Basically Alexander was from here. And this particular region was controlled by the pharaohs of Egypt. Means pharaohs were Egypt, जो वहां के राजा होते थे. Now, it's very simple and very easy thing to know. When India was evolving itself from Rigved to the Mahajanpad, don't you think these areas must be evolving themselves also? ये भी तो अपने को evolve कर रहे होंगे बेटा. And hence, when you study world history, so in world history, you talk about only these four powerful families in world history. From the Greece of Macedonia, or Macedonians from Greece, या फिर कह सकते हो जो भी. Then you talk about Persians, then you talk about pharaohs of Egypt. And they were not only economical traders of each other, they were the enemies also of each other. So when Alexander had ambition to conquer the world, first he attacked on Persia and captured it. And after capturing Persia, he wanted to capture Mahajanpad. Was he able to do so? No. His dream was totally shattered by the small Jana kingdom. ठीक है, मैं महाजनपद भी नहीं बोल रहा हूं, मैं जनपद भी नहीं बोल रहा हूं. I'm simply saying Jana tribe means छोटे से फैमिली ने उनको खत्म कर दिया. That was porous. So you see this. History is not only evolving in India. History is also evolving outside the India. See, if the Macedonian and Persians were the enemies of each other, don't you think Persians and Mahajanpads were the enemies of each other? है ना? अगर भाई मैं महाजनपद हूं, in my neighborhood there is Persian Empire. उससे आगे है Macedonia Great Empire. If the Macedonian Persians can be the enemy, so there could be possibility that Persians and Indian will be the enemies. So intercultural change होगा या नहीं होगा? Change तो होगा ना? Ashoka's Kharosthi language are the result of Persia. Modern day Arabic language is a result of Persia. Ashokan pillars are the result of the Persia. क्यों? Because they were the immediate neighbors of India. और नेबर के साथ अटैक भी करेंगे. सो दिस अटैकिंग थ्योरी को समझने के लिए आप ये सर्च करो कभी नेट पे. देखो ध्यान से, चीजों को सर्च करना भी आना चाहिए. ओह चलो ठीक है, अपने आप कर लेगा बाकी गूगल. आई होप. आ जा जा जा, कहीं से भी उठा के देख सकते हैं हम लोग, क्या दिक्कत है. ये सही दिख रहा है मुझे. समटाइम. बस थैंक यू सो मच. थैंक यू फॉर कोऑपरेशन. डोंट यू हैव विकिपीडिया पेजेस, बट कोई बात नहीं. हाँ, फॉरेन इन्वेडर्स. पोरस की डेंजरस लड़ाई दिख रही है मुझे। ये भी थोड़े से पीछे रह गए हैं, दे डू नॉट हैव एनी इंफॉर्मेशन लाइक दिस। हाँ बेटा, वो आई नो दिस, बट वो आ जाए तो ज्यादा बेहतर रहेगा। ये भी दिखाएंगे, बट कोई बात नहीं, मुझे देखना ही पड़ेगा। बट इफ यू डोंट फाइंड इट, तो अगर हाँ तो पहले पे तो लिखा हुआ था, ये देखने भूल गया मैं। सो व्हेन यू टॉक नाउ अर्ली फॉरेन इन्वेजर्स, सो इसमें सबसे पहले आर्यंस, बट आर्यंस वर कंसिडर्ड आर एंसेस्टर्स, तो वो कुछ कह नहीं सकते। बट सेकंड वन इज बेटा Persian invasions. And the Persians were the first who conquered the Indian land of Sindh. सिंध सुना है ना आप लोगों ने? सिंध बेसिकली कॉल्ड इज प्रेजेंट डे गुजरात और पाकिस्तान का जो रीजन है, दैट इज पर्टिकुलरली द फर्स्ट टेरिटरी व्हिच वाज कॉन्कर्ड बाय द पर्शियंस। सो दिस पर्टिकुलर रीजन जो ये वाला, दिस वाज कंट्रोल्ड बाय द पर्शियंस। और अगर आप अलेक्जेंड्रिया का इन्वेजन देखोगे, सो दिस पर्टिकुलर नंदा एम्पायर आफ्टर दिस अलेक्जेंड्रिया एंड ऑल, दिस अलेक्जेंड्रिया कब बना होगा? व्हेन अलेक्जेंडर डिफीटेड द पर्शियंस। बात समझ रहे हो? व्हेन मैसेडोनियन डिफीटेड पर्शियंस, then whole kingdom of Persia goes into the hand of Alexander, and then these regions were renamed by the name of Alexandria. Otherwise, it was totally the Persians. And Persian were the first early invader to invade India. And उनके राजाओं में कुछ साइप्रस, डरायस, जक्सीस ऐसे नाम मिलते हैं आपको। Have you seen that movie 300? Spartans. In that Spartan, you have seen he has given the example of Xerxes and Darius. So these Xerxes and Darius were from Persia, and Spartans were from the Athens. The fight between Macedonians and the Persians. So early history always talk about these four major kingdoms. बात समझ गए आप इतनी? Now you have the grip of the basics of history. अब इसके बाद we can directly jump into the Indus Valley Civilization, because I have not picked so much of pre and proto, उसका थोड़ा overview मिल जाएगा आपको. So this was only introductory class. कोई डाउट पहले देखो आप लोग. This is the only zone of entering India.
तो जो हमारे जो जैसे जो आज का पंजाब है, विश्व को पाकिस्तान पंजाब हो, तो वो सारी एरिया
वहीं कैप्चर होता है। अगर आपको सिंपली जैसे इंडिया का नक्शा देखोगे ना, इस लाइक दिस गुरहिद एम्पायर जो पढ़ेंगे मेडिवल इंडिया में, सो दिस पर्टिकुलर रीजन ना, यहाँ पे बेटा दो माउंटेन पासेस मिलते हैं। एक तो है खाइबर एंड सेकंड वन इज बोलन पास। खाइबर एंड बोलन आर दी ओनली गेटवे टू द इंडिया, अगर आप ज्योग्राफी ले हो, बिकॉज ऊपर आता है बेटा हिंदू कुश माउंटेन्स। टू क्रॉस हिंदू कुश यू हैव टू क्रॉस द खाइबर। एलेक्जेंडर यूज्ड द सेम पास टू एंटर इंडिया। This Solan is basically a transition zone between the Zagros and your Suleiman ranges. So इनको क्रॉस करने से आप यहाँ एंट्री ले सकते हो। So these are the only accessible point to the intervening of India. या तो हम यहाँ पे कोई वॉल बना लेते हैं अपने लिए, और this territory must be controlled by a powerful kingdoms. So when Mauryas ruled this, they controlled this. When Gupta tried to, they controlled this. The one who controlled the northwestern frontier of India, that particular kingdom dominates the Indian polity. इसलिए बड़े इन्वेजन आपकी हमेशा यहीं से होने मिलेंगे आपको। बात करोगे बेटा इतनी आपको? सो आई होप थिंग्स आर क्लियर। इंटरेस्ट में एक दो क्लास कंटिन्यू रहे आप लोग, उसके बाद हिस्ट्री का देखो कैसे भगाते हैं हम। निकोलस, एनी डाउट? लूमी, बाकी बेटा आपको एनी डाउट? एनीबॉडी हैज एनी डाउट? पीछे चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य, नहीं डाउट कोई नहीं है? ठीक है। डिप्रेशन, व्हाट वाज हैपनिंग इन योर डिप्रेशन सिम्टम्स एग्जैक्टली?
आप इंडस्ट्री से बात करें, बाहर निकलना,
ओह सो मच डिप्रेस्ड। अभी 2:30 बज रहे हैं क्या? दैट्स व्हाट आई एम थिंकिंग। मैंने कहा भी आधे घंटे पहले क्लास खत्म कर दी, जान खा जाएंगे मेरी। और बताएं फिर, सब ठीक बेटा? हाउ इज योर हेल्थ बेटा? फाइन, ठीक 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 है। और किससे पूछे? दैट योर फेलो मेट्स एवरीबॉडी हैज लेफ्ट? हाँ, सुरभि इज आल्सो देयर। दे आर इन दिल्ली और होम टाउन? आंध्रा है। चलो गुड। नव्या एंड सुरभि बोथ आर देयर।